Okay, marketing students, it is time for print advertisements, and that is chapter 20 in our book. We have projects that are associated with this chapter. So chapter 17 and 19 were kind of getting us warmed up in the promotion arena so that we could actually get to this part, print advertisements. And after print advertisements, we'll be going to more digital advertisement venues that we can apply to the Blue Nation student store. So this right here is going to be the SlideDeck review. You can see already that on our Google Classroom assignment we have textbook assignment for chapter 20. I've decided on this one that I've combined the entire thing, so it's the full chapter. There's 11 vocabulary questions and 6 review key concept questions for a total of 40 points. I have the full chapter 20 here in PDF form if you need it. You can use your physical textbook if you like. Here's the Google form. Now, one change I made that should make things easier for you is that once you put your email address in here, if you're not able to get through the entire form in one sitting, that's okay. You can submit, and then you'll get an email that will allow you to click and edit and continue on where you left off. So that way you don't have to do it all in one sitting, which I think is an improvement and hopefully will help some of you out. So having said that, that's the vocab and review key concept questions that I'll introduce in class today and tomorrow. And let's go through the slide deck review. So if I bring this up, chapter 20, print advertisements. Let's try to get me out of the way here. And so there's 2 sections, elements of advertising, and section 2 is advertising layout. And then next week probably I actually have a subscription because of Fresno Unified for Masterclass, and there's these guys that are like known for their advertising genius. They actually did, way back in the 80s and 90s, was it 90s? I forget. The Got Milk campaign and the Budweiser Toads and some other things that you might recognize. So we're going to hear from them as well because they're the experts on kind of advertising and how an advertising company works. Okay, so just going through the slides here. All the way to the end. What the heck? Let's not show that. Get the technology figured out, Cheney. Come on. Alright, so slide 1. If I go this, there we go. So comparing print ads from a recent newspaper or magazine, this is actually a project that we'll do. So if you don't have access to magazines yourself, I will have some digital versions of magazines, like ads from those that I actually read. So 3 of my favorite magazines I still read are Reader's Digest, Men's Health, and oh gosh, what's the food one that I have? Anyway, I cook a lot, so I have a food one. So I'll grab a bunch of ads from there, and we'll actually do a project that's going to have to do with the terms that we learn in this chapter, which will be great. Our objectives, we're going to discuss advertising campaigns and how they're developed. What's the role of an advertising agency, and we're going to identify the main components of a print advertisement. Okay, so the main idea is the successful advertising campaigns include essential elements to help sell goods and services. Okay, the vocabulary that you'll see in that Google Doc: advertising campaign, advertising agencies, logo type, headline, copy, illustration, clip art, signature, slogan. And just so you know, you will be developing your own print advertisements, and you'll be probably doing 2, no, definitely doing at least 2. 1 for an existing company and 1 for our Blue Nation student store. So the components of a print ad, you've got your headline, you've got your copy, you've got your illustration, and you've got your signature. So in terms of advertising campaign, when you're planning an integrated advertising campaign, those elements include identifying the target audience, determining your objectives, establishing the budget, developing the message, selecting the media, which is what type of ad will it be? Is it newspaper? Is it magazine? Is it online? And number 6 is evaluating the campaign. So you'll see there, yeah, the The definition of advertising campaign is a group of advertisements, commercials, and related promotional materials and activities that are designed as part of a coordinated advertising plan to meet the specific goals of a company. Okay, what is an advertising agency? The definition here, an independent business that specializes in developing ad campaigns and crafting the ads for clients. So these types of agencies and companies have been pretty integral, and they've been third-party agencies for big corporations historically, but there's been a move recently in the past 2-3 years, and especially during this COVID time, where companies are like, hey, I think we can save some money if we have our own internal advertising group. And so I'll have some articles and stuff that actually shows how that works. And that's actually a good thing, because I think it develops more in-house creativity and more opportunity for entry-level positions if that's something you want to get into as far as advertising is concerned. So again, definition, advertising agency, an independent business that specializes in developing ad campaigns and crafting the ads for their clients. So the different types of agencies are full service, virtual, project team, creative boutique, and limited service. So for full service, it handles all aspects of an advertising campaign. Limited service specializes in one aspect of an advertising campaign. Creative boutique. Advertiser develops message and copy, but outsources design and production. A project team provides research, copyright, creative execution, and media placement without overhead of larger agencies. So that might be something within your company. And virtual is one individual who coordinates the work of a network of freelancers. So that could be Fiverr or other companies like that might be involved. Okay, the advertising campaign. We just talked about those creative boutiques, project team agencies, and virtual agencies. Those are kind of new to the advertising game. So what is a logo type? The definition is a graphic symbol for a company, brand, or organization. Short term is logo. Developing print advertisements. Elements of the print advertisements again are headline, and the definition for headline is the phrase or sentence in an advertisement that captures the reader's attention, generates interest, and entices them to read the rest of the ad. So when we get to those guys I was telling you about on Masterclass, Got Milk was their headline. And so people are like, what do you mean Got Milk? And they had this whole ad campaign on why you needed milk. And a lot of the commercials were rather funny. Copy is another element of print advertisements. Copy, the definition, the selling message of a written advertisement. Okay, so that's the actual words that are on the advertisement itself. Illustration and clip art are related, so the definition of that, the photograph, drawing, or other graphic element that is used in an advertisement. And then you've got clip art, which is inexpensive or free images, stock drawings, and photographs. And then the last element of print advertisement is the signature or slogan. Definition of signature, the name of the advertiser or logo type that is the distinctive identification symbol for a business. And slogan could be a catchy phrase or words that identify a product or company. So for instance, Apple, think different. 5 literary devices, and this is really important to know because one of your review key concept questions when you're developing a slogan, you're going to need to use one of these. So the literary devices are alliteration, paradox, rhyme, pun, and play on words. So I believe in the text of the textbook itself, they'll explain those 5 literary devices for you. Okay. Alright, so the review key concept questions for chapter 20, and this is 20.1. Question 1 is explain why headline is an important part of a print ad. I'm not going to show you the answer just yet. And then we've got question 2, describe what illustrations should show about a product. Describe what illustrations should show about a product. And Review key concept number 3. Generate a slogan for a product you use and explain the literary device that you use. So you need to be familiar with those literary devices, which you can read about in the text. Now, moving on to 20.2. So our prediction for, or looking ahead, is how might the use of color in a print ad affect a viewer's reaction? So we'll talk about that in class actually. There's a whole section of psychology that has to do with that. Advertising and psychology are very interlinked in that way. So objectives: explain the principles of preparing an ad layout, list advantages and disadvantages of using the color in advertising, and then describe how typefaces and sizes add variety and emphasis to print advertisement. So our main idea: advertisers must understand effective design principles when developing ad layouts in order to quickly attract the attention of a targeted audience. And this is specifically important in print ad because capturing the attention has got to be immediate and it's got to be a fast read. So the 2 vocabulary for section 20.2, and that's why I combined all these vocabulary, because there's only 2 for this. It's ad layout and advertising proof. And so tips for developing the effective ad layout: leave white space. Number 2, make illustrations large enough to grab the attention. Number 3, color is more realistic and visually appealing. And 4, employ a distinctive and appropriate typeface and size. So those of you who are in my multimedia class, you're going to remember some of these things with graphic design, hopefully. If not, you'll be reminded of them when we're putting together these print advertisements. Okay, so sources for ad layout services. You have newspaper salespeople, magazine representatives, advertising agency personnel. An ad layout: the definition, a sketch that shows the general arrangement and appearance of a finished ad. So facts about the elements of advertisement. You have the layout, color, typeface, and type size. On the layout, you have a single visual, you have a top heavy, you have an illustrated, you have an Ogilvy, and then you have the Z. And you'll learn about, you're going to need to answer the Z layout. Color, we're looking to have more realistic, visually appealing colors and ad readership. Typeface: large, bold for shouting, small, light for whispering. Type size: serif, sans serif, adds variety and emphasis. So again, if you're not familiar with those serif and sans serif terms, something we went over in graphic design in the freshman year, but something that we can go over again. Most advertising proofs are developed and delivered in a digital format. So definition of advertising proof: a presentation of an ad that shows exactly how it will appear in print. So proof is just like, hey, this is what it should look like in the final viewing, whether it be magazine or newspaper or whatnot. Okay. Criteria for checking advertising proofs. Okay, the ad, going from the top to the bottom, ad should be bold enough to stand out on a page even if placed next to other ads. Overall layout looks clean and uncluttered and should guide the reader through the copy. They shouldn't be looking all over the ad what they should be reading next. Typefaces and type sizes should be easy to read and help to emphasize the message. So you don't want to be using like 4 different fonts on there. That's what that's saying. Signature should be apparent and distinctive. People shouldn't be searching for who has made this ad, for the most part. And then intended message and image projected must be appropriate for the target audience. So that's why when you're planning print advertisements, you need to know who your target audience is before you actually start making these. Okay, that was a short section. So the review key concept question for 20.2 is explain how to create a focal point and eye movement using a Z ad layout, and that information is going to be in the textbook, so sorry, you have to actually read it. Number 2, describe how to select the size and type of a typeface. Again, the details of that will be in the textbook itself. And number 3, list 3 things that you should look for in an advertising proof. Okay, so I think that gets us through chapter 20 as far as the slide deck review. I will post this on the Google Classroom so that it will be a tool for you come the time to put your vocabulary and review key concept questions together, but also for review when we have the quiz and when we start our projects. Okay, I'll see you there back in class.